we want to use this recording to explain to the people who visit the Kunstnacht what's going on, because my gallery is a very small space and it's only going to show Sjef's work with not a lot of context. So this video will be an introduction for them into this world. And with that, I'd like to give this mic to Sjef.
Thanks. All right, this is working. Oh, this is definitely working. Okay. So what I'm going to do for my talk, I actually was doing an interview with a James journalist a couple of months ago, and he sent me this image that was very on point for the stuff I was researching. So initially I thought maybe I could kind of like map out this timeline, but then in doing so, like I started doing that, and then I realized that I was actually coming up with all sorts of new research. So I kind of gave up on that, and I thought I can do just like the last decade or so, because it's kind of hard to come up with like a chronological narrative for the work I make, because it touches upon, I think, a few subjects and many things overlap. So what I want to do is I'll just explain as chronologically as possible what the piece at the Kunstnacht will be about. The piece is called Gamer Keyboard Wall Piece 1, which you might have guessed is the first piece in the Gamer Keyboard Wall Piece series. And the aim of the series is to use the visual language as well as the actual language of the online stereotype of the gamer to imagine a new political identity for this stereotype. So one of the reasons I was interested in a stereotype is there's this sort of overlap or funnel to young guys online who are being called the alt-right and who have been like mentioned on the news as like a big new political movement, even though they're actually not that big. They're just like very loud, which also like has to do with gamer culture and stuff we'll get later into. And of course, there's always exceptions to the stereotype. Not everyone who plays video games calls themselves a capital G gamer. I think that's very important. And a big part of the reason I'm interested in like the stereotype is I think a lot of the aspects people attribute to the stereotype are also things that I am, like a young white guy who's like alone in his room, not in employment, education, or training, as they put it. And then another thing that I really love about gamer subculture is the aesthetics. Like I think from a young age, I've always really loved like pretty lights, and so that was actually what I was drawn to. I thought like this is such a strong aesthetic. I want to use this, and then I think a couple of years ago I got into ContraPoints. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar. It's this YouTube channel run by Natalie Wynn, and you can kind of see the subjects she picks. They're all about sort of alt-right, for lack of a better term, adjacent topics, and she's really good. I highly recommend everyone goes check out her videos. I was thinking about maybe showing like a clip, but like I wasn't really able to, because I always I often like her videos are getting really long lately. And, like I always think like, okay, I just watch like the first half an hour, but then like I just can't put them away. And I think what's really great is that she uses what I mentioned before, like she's using the language of like these young people on the internet, these guys who might have been, getting into alt-right stuff, and then she uses like the same jokes, the same terms to kind of just explain counter arguments. We'll get a little bit into her more lately. And like, let's see, where am I? Yeah. So kind of what she's doing for like internet culture at large, I would say I kind of wanted to do in my piece as well, like the same method, use the visual language of gamer subculture to imagine a new political identity for the stereotype. So then we'll just get a bit more into the stereotype. I've been for like maybe almost 2 years at this point, kind of been collecting just screenshots and Instagram posts. So we'll just, it's always like terrible to explain jokes. So we'll just like skim over them really quick. Like this is kind of like pointing towards like how aggressive gamers are, how mean they are. But also like kind of like poking fun at like maybe they're super, that maybe they're empaths. This original tweet, if you go to fuck a dude and he got 2 monitors and a light up keyboards, just go home. That went pretty viral. That's also love that funny watermark here. Also here it's like put into the battle station. This is kind of like, you know, gamers are they're infantile, and yeah, but this was a pretty good one. This is also actually very great. Yeah, I think kind of speaks for itself. And this one, this is quite a sad one. This is about like how lonely and anxious. And this is also like this is more like towards the way that I'll be going about this in my work as well. So yeah, actually, like I think what's good to mention is that a lot of the things from the stereotypes stem from this big controversy that happened in the past decade called Gamergate, which I don't want to get completely into because it's just really terrible and very complicated. Like a lot of things happened. Basically, to wrap it up really quick, there were like some online angry guys who got like a lot of gamers all riled up to harass a bunch of female game developers, female feminist theorists. And like they were actually really good at just online bullying. And there is this episode from Argos Media Logica called Handboek voor Haatzaaiers or Guide for Spreaders of Hate. And it features Brianna Wu, who was on the receiving end of Gamergate. She's a game developer who was running for Congress at one point because she wanted to change tech policy. And I think I want to show a clip of this because it kind of shows, I think, some influential aspects of the whole Gamergate debacle.
What is so sad about American discourse in 2019 is it's all Gamergate now. It's all this fringe hate speech. You see it out of the president's mouth every single day. Conspiracy theories, hatred towards entire groups of people, half-truths in a boiling culture war that blames everyone else for your problems. Hey Frank, how are you doing? This is Brianna Wu. I'm a fellow software engineer.
Gamergate was a real turning point. We see the strategies that were adopted there being applied in other places as well. I mean, there's a common playbook that keeps getting added to. I mean, the impact of having those kind of behaviors on the people, targeting people, coming after people in online mobs, that kind of behavior.
It kind of taught the internet that there is a population of people who are angry and very, very easy to convince to join your movement if you say the right words to them.
Okay, so should I get this back on? Yeah, so one of the things that Gamergate did was it made this playbook that was definitely used. For instance, someone like Steve Bannon, who was, before he got to work on the Trump campaign, he was running Breitbart, and he hired this one notable alt-right figure to like write about Gamergate, and it like, you know, gained them a lot of readers and viewers. Yeah, so they really learned from this online campaign moment, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, what it does also, so I think it kind of shows like the connection between Gamergate and alt-right, how like one is, yeah, so to speak, a pipeline towards the other. And someone who fell through that is a guy called Caleb Kane. He lives in America. He, I think around 2015, kind of got down the alt-right rabbit hole on YouTube. And then at one point he got out, which was, I think 2018, 2019. And he posted a YouTube video about it, which I want to show some clips from. So just a quick backstory in Caleb. He went to college, but like some small town college, it wasn't, yeah, it just didn't really stimulate him, and he dropped out because he lost his grant. So then he had to go live with his parents again, work a shitty job, and he started to watch a lot of YouTube. And he was looking for self-help content, and that then, because he was watching that, he got presented with these alt-right videos. And yeah, I think I can let him speak for the rest now.
And you know, it happened so fast. You know, I started out as a libertarian, mind you, when I watched Stefan's content. Before that, I was a liberal. But then, as I listened to Stefan, I picked up libertarian ideas, which transitioned into, you know, anarcho-capitalist ideas. But what would happen was I would get to a point where, you know, I wanted the libertarianism because I wanted a free society, but then I realized that, well, we can't have a free society if there isn't social cohesion and there isn't a strong structure to bind us together. And so I slowly found myself turning into a conservative. And the way I like to think of this, it's, you know, I have a slight background in marketing. I like to think of it like a sales funnel. And what a sales funnel does is it takes customers, potential customers, you know, in a broad general sense, and tries to funnel them down to a point where they buy a product. And the funnel acts in two ways. It educates and motivates the buyers that will buy, and it expels the potential customers that won't buy. And this is kind of what this ideology did. And so I started out as a libertarian, and then because I thought that we needed social cohesion, I became a conservative. And then from there, I thought that the conservatives weren't going far enough. You know, we called them cucks. And I started to believe that we needed strong borders, and we needed a national identity, and we needed to raise the birth rates. And to me, it wasn't necessarily white birth rates. I saw it more as like, we needed more intelligent people having children. And then as I started to learn more, as I listened to people like, you know, Jared Taylor or, you know, Molyneux started putting out a lot more race content, talking about race and IQ, talking about the bell curve. And, you know, they use this term called race realism. And the idea is that there's differences in the races depending on where they evolved in the world, and that, you know, these are inexplicable. These are, or they're immutable. You know, they're tied to biology, and that we can't escape them necessarily. And so I bought into that. And because of that, I started to see society as a product of this, you know, the combination between culture and race being so important because it's tied to IQ. And so I saw Western civilization as like this traditional values plus a high IQ and a strong sense of self. And so I bought more and more into it. I went further down the funnel.
Okay, so that's kind of like the start, and then this is eventually how he gets out. He started to watch this Twitch streamer called Destiny, who he enjoys, even though he is a leftist, but he's also like very good at these debates where people are like super aggressive in the debates, and he enjoys that. They call it blood sports. And then this is what happens next.
But as I watched Destiny more, I came across another YouTuber called ContraPoints. And Natalie, I mean, I had this aversion to her at first because I had all these goofy ideas about trans people. But Natalie, she spoke to me. She spoke my language. She was like one of me. She, you know, we were about the same age, and she understood the culture that I was in. She understood the memes. She understood the philosophy. She understood the motivations, and she was able to repeat back to me why I found it so compelling. Whereas when I would talk to most leftists or liberals, they wouldn't know. They would just call me a racist. And to be honest with you, and this is part of the reason I'm making this video, is to help educate people, that didn't work. That pushed me further and further away. The only thing that made me believe was that I'm the red-pilled one, I'm the woke one, and that I'm the one that is willing to deal with these ideas where they're not. And they would just get emotional with me and fight with me, and I wasn't having any of it. So when I watched Contra's videos, she was very just rational and logical and had these good explanations, and I realized how fucking wrong I was, how fucking utterly stupid I was, and I was terrified, absolutely devastated, and I didn't know what to do. And I kept listening more and more and more. And she talked about more and more stuff. You know, she'd go in and she'd just explain everything so well. Well, that had completely sold me over. You know, that had got me out of it.
All right, and now it's like the last bit. We're going to tie it back to the gamer narrative. Tie it back to the gamer narrative.
I'm also a gamer. Probably one of the demographics that pulled me into this. Most of the people I know that are in this, they're gamers. They play first-person shooters, and we're part of that edgy meme culture, you know, that goes back so long. It goes back, for me at least, to 2008 on 4chan. Back when it wasn't so racist and obvious and taken over by these people, but it was like shit posting fun that teenagers do. And so I'm just here to help pull my people out of that. But also, I'll probably put out some content about gaming. And maybe I'll do some live streaming on Twitch or something. So if you guys see content like that too, don't be surprised.
Okay, so this, Caleb posted this to YouTube March 22, 2019. A couple of months later, the New York Times did a really big profile on him. And last year they interviewed him again for this podcast series called Rabbit Hole, which you can highly recommend. Shit. Right. Okay, so that was Caleb Kane. Then one day I was watching a ContraPoints video probably, and I got recommended this video by someone called Dr. K, who was interviewing her. And it turns out that Dr. K was this psychiatrist, a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, who was also a gamer. And what he did was he wanted to tackle gaming addiction, but then he found out that there were actually a lot of problems that people have that are intertwined with that. So he started this organization called Healthy Gamer. And what they do is they provide coaching. So also for my research, I did an interview with one of their coaches, with Yasmin. They also offer this guide, which is like a bunch of videos that are paywalled. They have very active community on Discord, also on Reddit. And then they have Dr. K, whose name I believe is Alok Kanoya. He makes YouTube videos and he does Twitch streams. And what he does usually is interview other streamers about their mental health. And then sometimes he goes to Reddit and he answers questions from people from the community. Sometimes he has people from the coaching groups on. And that's what I want to show a small clip of, because I think it is very exemplary of the type of guys that are, well, at least brave enough to get help. So just a quick introduction. It's like a 2-hour video. It's really great. It's about toxic masculinity. So this is Dr. K. And these guys, Sam, Ed, Quentin, and Omer, they always struggled with toxic masculinity in the sense that they felt that they couldn't live up to like the masculine stereotype, like they weren't like big enough or strong enough, cool enough. And then there's this guy She who he's like kind of this jock dude. He has no problem being like this cool, buff, tough guy. And his mom told him at age 10 that girls don't like sensitive boys. So then he really started living after that. And now they're like in a group call trying to work things out.
It's a good point, Sam. I want to go back to what Sam was saying because it feels like Sam has emotions coming up. So we're going to walk y'all through this again. Does anybody have an inkling of how we should respond to Shay now? So what is Shay saying that he got robbed of?
Well, like some sort of wisdom that would have made his life way better.
Yeah, so wisdom certainly. But also when he expressed emotion, what did his mom say?
Bad.
Right. And so what is he doing with us now?
Expressing emotions.
So what should we do about it?
Or encourage it.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
This is such like a guy thing. It sounds really dumb, but if you ask, I feel like if you asked women this or girls in general, it wouldn't be silence. You know, if you're like, oh well, we support them and we do this and we ask them around to do this, and we're all just completely. It's like
I feel like
we
I'm
haven't been given the tools. You know.
Absolutely. So how do y'all feel now?
Feel ridiculous, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
like
toss
inept
that.
Almost.
Yeah, good. Right? It's like, so this is great. This is way better than all that theoretical shit, okay? So let me try to explain what's going on. So what Shay, Shay is like, this is our chance to rewrite Shay's history. So let's think Shay grew up and like literally was told by his mom at the age of 10, I don't want to see that shit. And he's showing it to us now. Right? And we're paralyzed. And we're like what he needs to hear is it's okay to show us this. That's the right answer.
Mm.
Right? Like, I feel you, man. Tell me more about that. I want to hear. I want to listen. Like, you seem upset, or I'm seeing emotion in your face. Like, we could just state things very plainly, because we don't quite understand. But we don't need to understand. All we need to do is watch. Right? Because his mom turned away. She's like, I don't want to see that shit. So we don't have to be competent, we just have to be willing. That's all he needs from us.
Okay, so what I think is great about this content that Dr. K is putting out is that it's actually sort of preventing, like when Caleb Kane describes how Counterpoint was like taking him out of this low point, like completely radicalized to the right. I think what Dr. K is doing is like making sure that guys won't even be prone to like radicalization by fear mongering. It's like helping people to improve themselves instead of blaming other people. So that was, I think, the last thing I wanted to show kind of about my research. As I mentioned, like I also like interviewed someone from this organization. I interviewed this journalist. I collected way more images than just the ones I've shown. I also read some articles. That was kind of the research part, and then I've been also like having this one app on OneNotes in my notes app where I just like collect gamer terms, and like with those I wanted to like construct some texts using all this gamer language to then speak about like more sort of the other side of the stereotype. And well, as explained before, then I was going to build this keyboard video installation that will have the keys be a display. So it goes from an input medium to an output medium, sort of having the keyboard speak back to its user. So what I did at first was I started buying a lot of these gamer keyboards, which I was very excited about. So these were all like videos I sent to people on WhatsApp showing like my new toys. Started kind of experimenting with like, should I maybe like sand off the top of the keycap so that there would be more light emitted. Let's see, it's another experiment. And then pretty soon, I started working with Jelle Rijt and Ivo Ibelings for hardware and software development. And we made this first prototype for which we got a bunch of keyboards from this local company called Booting. They made really great mechanical keyboards with analog switches, which I didn't realize at the time. This is actually really nice because the top plate of the keyboard can just come off because the switches aren't soldered to the PCB because yeah, they're optical. They sort of like send and receive light instead of a signal. Wait, now I need the other thing. Yes. Okay, good. So now I can zoom in and kind of show like how we made this. Jelle downloaded like the, how do you call the documentation of the keyboard, and then he glued it in the case. And, like we put the LEDs there. Yeah, so this is what it looks like on the inside. So all the LEDs, they're just like in one like in one row actually. And then this is what it looked like when we're using it. Just like doing some test videos, but also testing like body features here. See some other videos, some other keycaps on there. This is actually the word test, which you can't really read. So that was like, they were definitely gonna need like more than one keyboard to actually make this work. You can actually see over here, I believe we have a, because like all these switches that are in there, they're completely black, so they actually block a lot of light. So then I had Bram de Groot make a like a mock-up switch, which is completely made out of resin, because he has a resin 3D printer. We ended up not using it because I was able to find like another keyboard, yeah, this one, where actually the switch is transparent and there's actually even a gap for the light to come through. Then this was the second stereotype. This one has custom PCBs. We're basically just testing that. So this is actually, you always have to order like a couple of them, just like the front and the back side. And they're already like the NeoPixels already placed the same way as they are on a keyboard. So we can actually like put it on here and see what it looks like. Just running this like small test video. And then this is what the keycap's on. It's actually pretty bright. Like I was afraid that we're going to need to like put it in a completely dark room, which will be no problem at the Kunstnacht. But yeah, it's actually like if it's not like super sunny out, so you'll be able to kind of see the video. So then what we did was I bought a bunch of one model keyboards, and I scanned the PCB that I took out of it. So then Jelle could create his own, like these were the ones I got. And then Jelle made his own. First we did like a small mock-up to see if like the thing he designed would actually fit in the case. This was like some screws that need to be in place. And also like we want to make sure that like everything fits in here, like these small little legs of the switches. And then this is what our custom PCB looks like. I was able to put like some illustrations on it. So like first it's just like gamer keyboard wall piece, and then I could like fill in the number as we'll be using it for the entire series. Like I can like sign my autograph here and say what edition it is. Like we got some Twitch emotes on there. Got this strong Doge shading touch grass, which is actually when I was interviewing Gatsby from Healthy Gamer, the coach actually told me that like she always tells people to just walk down the roads. You know, it doesn't matter if it's just like 15 meters, just like really just go outside, don't stay in your bedroom all day. And simultaneously, like on the internet, there was this meme, touch grass, like holy shit, go outside. And someone would make some enormous schematic thing that took a lot of work in Photoshop, and people would just like shit on it. Say, touch grass, you don't need to do this. So I kind of like that. It's like, it's very mean, but it's like actually good advice. Oh, this is the Komodo hype, which is like the new PogChamp emote, because like the previous guy who was the PogChamp emote on Twitch turned out to be like racist or something. So I was like, okay, the Komodo can come on here as well. So yeah, this is like the first test with the custom PCB. And then this is 4 of them connected. Like Nate can actually read that it says test. It's the same video as with the first one. So this all seems to work. And simultaneously, because I was also buying like some keyboards off of AliExpress, and I got this recommended, and I think it was already in on my arena boards, like next to the memes, like these one-hand keyboards, because of course when you're gaming, you have your right hand on the mouse, the left hand on the AWSD keys, as we all know. So I bought this keypad because I thought maybe I can do some custom keycaps and then sort of have the same idea that I want to do in text in the big piece. I can do like visually here. So then I also got these Keycap Molds, and I started playing around with those. Like continuing on the touch grass theme, I was like, I can put some of these in here. The fun thing is, Abbey and Margo, who will speak after me after the break, they're from, yeah, as mentioned, this Discord server. So I would also like post it here, like if someone ever tells me to touch grass again, like show them this. And then like someone sent back like shit, like I shared like the original picture, and someone else like put like this sort of copy pasta thing on it. It was very, very kind. Really appreciate that feedback. And this is with the RGB lights. Not sure if I'm going to do them with the RGB, white might fit it a bit better. And then actually the one thing I didn't like about this was that I was afraid that people might mistake it for this like technology and nature mashup that like people sometimes do, where it's like, oh, it's so beautiful, like two contrasts come together. Like I didn't want them to be able to think that, so I'm gonna add like the Among Us crewmate. So like it's definitely about gaming and not just about nature and technology. And around the same time, we put the PCBs in the keyboards. What did you say, the keyboard cases again? We're doing like some typography tests. We're doing some just like test images to sort of see where the limits when I put a video in. Like there's like a little cutoff on the left side and on the upper side. And then this is just testing keycaps, because I was thinking like, should I use the pudding ones or the other ones that I already bought? Okay. It's like actually a lot of work to put these all in, like all the switches and then all the keycaps. It's like, I think 104 or 108 of them. Ultimately decided to do like the keycaps I had first. So this was like one of the final tests. And then I also, for the keypads, I ordered these custom keycaps that there was like one store on AliExpress who sells them. Very happy with those, and maybe you can go like over them. And there's also some more Twitch emotes, like this one meme that's also from the Discord, Rick and Morty, Angry Birds, because there's like this thing that like real gamers, like they look down on mobile games, or they say like, don't call yourself a gamer if you only have a Nintendo Switch, sort of that. And actually in a conversation with friends, like one of them plays The Sims, it's in the audience, I won't dox him. And then like the other friend said, you play The Sims? I thought only girls do that. So right that second I was like, okay, that's going in there as well. Again, a Komodo, and I have a selfie where I'm wearing cat ears. Like I'm also quite obsessed with TikTok, and there were these guys wearing skirts and dressing up as cat boys. And like, there's a lot of discussion about it, but I think ultimately, because it's like these straight guys dressing up like ambiguous for clout, but I think ultimately it's like better than when they like don't sort of like experiment with that. And also I bought the cat ears, and like when I have them laying around in my room, like I think 9 out of 10 times when a guy comes over, like they instantly put them on. Like we do like dressing up somehow. Like I also had them on my laying around at my studio, and there was this guy visiting, like the boyfriend of the girl I share my studio with, and like he also instantly sent me like a selfie wearing them. So I thought, yeah, it makes sense to put it on there. Like this is what I look on the thing itself with the lights on. Yeah, and it's like with some more things in there. There's also like a capitalist realism keycap, which I assume Abbey and Margo will tell about a bit. Oh, and this is like, I'm just really proud that like to the level of detail we're getting this. Like when you look at the keyboards that I bought, let's scroll up a bit. Whoop. Like over here, they have like these 3 little lights for the caps lock and the numpad and mouse. But then as I like removed the original PCB, I also removed those LEDs. So they're just like holes, but we did put new LEDs underneath them. So then I actually had like Bram, who initially printed the resin switch. He now makes for me these mock-ups for these LEDs. So I was actually really happy with those. And he's also making some resin keycaps for me that we're printing this week. So this is like a pill that's changing colors, also connected to this red pill, blue pill name. Yeah, so it's all going to be on display at Singular Art at Kunstnacht, and actually for a little bit longer until, what was it? Up until October 8th? Yeah. Also documentation will be published by Do Not Research, which Abbey and Margo will tell more about after the break.